Hi, my name is Ronnie and I live in San Diego, California. I'm interested in the environment and green policy, so I set out to explore what San Diego had to offer by meeting with local businesses, industries, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations as we showcase who's making a difference in our community by educating, implementing, creating, or currently using green practices and sustainable solutions. So sit back, relax, and welcome to How Can I Help? We're at Rancho Coastal Humane Society, which seeks to educate the public about proper pet care and provide adoption services for those seeking orphaned pets. It's a beautiful facility in Encinitas, California, and was the first in the nation to be fully run on solar energy. I'm here with Public Relations Director John Van Santee to fetch some information on fostering a furry friend to a better life. So, first of all, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Ronnie. Great to see you.
Great, yeah. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. What is the rough history of Rancho Coastal Humane Society, and why are the issues worth barking about?
Well, to put things into perspective, it was the same year that John F. Kennedy was elected President of the United States. Okay. It was the year when on Friday nights we stayed at home so we could watch a brand new family, Fred and Wilma Flintstone, with their dog, Dino. Gas was 25 cents a gallon. And a lady by the name of Maria K. Lloyd and a group of her friends started rescuing animals, and that was the beginning of Rancho Coastal Humane Society.
Oh, wow.
In this section of coastal San Diego County, there just wasn't another organization that where families could come and find a pet, or families that weren't able to keep their pet anymore had a place where they could take it, know that it would be cared for, and a new home would be found. And the other part is the education program, because if we can teach today's children to be more humane, that provides a better future for all of us. Let's go meet some of the animals, because really we can stand here, we have the building, we have the people, we have everything else, but the animals is what it's about.
What are the general requirements and guidelines for fostering a pet?
Well, I think the first thing is for someone that wants to do it, somebody willing to make the commitment. Other than that, it kind of depends on you. So, for example, if you want a big dog like Kenny, that would take one kind of individual. And maybe, Kenny's going to have a knee surgery, so somebody that is willing to take a big dog and take care of it and keep it quiet. Or it could be somebody that has a litter of puppies or a litter of kittens. So depending on the people, it could be a dog that just needs care for a couple of days. It could be a mommy cat that's ready to give birth to a litter of kittens that's going to need extended care. So with our foster care program at Rancho Coastal Humane Society, we try and match up the needs of the pet with what the family is capable of doing.
So what kinds of tips or advice do you have for people who are interested in fostering a pet?
Well, I think if you're interested in fostering, first, whether it's Rancho Coastal or one of the other shelters or one of the rescue groups, it's just like adopting. Go in, tell us about you. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your lifestyle. Tell us that you're interested in fostering, and then we can figure from there, is fostering right for you? And if it is fostering, what kind of fostering? Should it be puppies? Should it be kittens? Should it be larger dogs? There's some rescue organizations that have what they call forever fosters for animals that are older that just need some place to live out the time that they have left.
Okay.
And so come in and tell us about yourself, and let us see if fostering's right for you, and if it is, what kind of fostering is right for you. Sometimes fostering is really great for people that they're not able to take that 10-year, 15-year, 20-year commitment, but they like to have some fur in their house.
Yeah.
And or somebody who maybe travels a lot with their job.
Okay.
Fostering is a situation where you can have a pet in your home for a short time. They love you just as much, whether they're there for 2 days or 2 months. But sometimes fostering actually works better for people than long-term, lifelong adoption. And the rewards of it are so great, knowing that you've been that transition that help your pet get to its forever home with its forever family.
I met up with Casey Matthews, one of the many volunteers, to see how can I help. I've had a lot of fun today, and I was really interested in continuing to help, but I don't have the support or the infrastructure to really make that long-term adoption commitment. Is there anything I can do or still be a part of?
Yeah, absolutely. The fostering program we have is fantastic, not only for people who don't have time for a full-time dog, but also for the dogs and for cats. So this is Molly. She's a 10-year-old Chihuahua. Came in because her owner unfortunately became ill and couldn't care for her anymore. So she would be a great first-time dog for anybody to foster. She's very mellow at home, already house-trained, but loves to play at the same time, so she would be a perfect first dog.
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, do you mind if we go in, kind of interact, and see how she is? I love that wagging tail. She seems like she's really excited to do this.
Sure. Hi, Molly.
Hey, Molly.
Good girl.
Hey.
Can you say hi?
My name's Ronnie. How are you? Oh, this thing closes this way. Come here.
Oh.
Hey. Hey. How are you doing?
So yeah, she's a little bit nervous at first, but once she gets to know you, she's a very, very sweet girl. Probably will sit with you on the couch and sleep with you at night. So next steps would just be to fill out the volunteer and foster application and meet with our volunteer coordinator, who would take you through the steps on actually being able to take her home with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. After fostering a new friend at the Rancho Coastal Humane Society, I was ready to explore the environmental issues around owning a pet. So I went to Howlistic in Mission Hills to see the holistic, natural way to raise a pet. Good morning. My name is Ronnie, and here is Molly.
Hi, Molly. Can she have a treat?
Yeah, she can have a treat. I think she'd love that. I think she wants some already.
How can I help you guys today?
Yeah, so I wanted to see how to get a sustainable setup for my pod pal here.
Okay.
And I was pretty interested in the store, and I just wanted to know a little bit about, can you tell me a little bit about Howlistic?
You know, we really were founded on the idea that most pet supply stores aren't focused on the pet, they're focused on other things. So we look at the pet and our business and brought together, you know, what's the most important thing? The most important thing for a dog or a cat is nutrition.
Okay.
So, and appropriate nutrition is really important. And the companies that we deal
That, don't
with
you?
when we buy our foods are usually smaller companies that are more focused on the quality of their ingredients. And what that means is they're dealing with, you know, even the raw materials are dealing with smaller farms and smaller delivery mechanisms than the typical like Petco brand. Nutrition's the key.
Great.
And then the other part of our store that's really important to us is we look at every brand that we deal with, what the company who's supplying us, what their focus is. Do they have an environmentally friendly focus? Because that's important to us as well. So are they using products in their manufacturing process that have been recycled. You know, the companies that we deal with, we're pretty picky about.
Okay.
We tend to not sell stuff made overseas if we can. We'd rather buy stuff that's made locally, at least in the U.S. You know, and deal with companies that have a philosophy similar to ours. So.
Well, do you think we could find a healthy meal for Molly then?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you show us around?
There's a lot of different ways we can go. Everything we sell in here, again, we focus on the ingredients, where it's made, how it's made, the quality of the ingredients, whether they're using sustainable practices in their business is important to us. We have the dry kibble food, which is what you see at most, you know, major supermarkets. We also have a lot of alternative foods here. We have some freeze-dried and dehydrated food that you add water to. And then we also have some frozen raw food. Dogs and cats being carnivores, they're really designed to eat meat. And meat in its natural state would be raw.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Meat. So that's what the raw frozen food is all about. It's just a true natural diet for a dog or a cat. If we take this, which is a really good food called Origin, the first thing you want to see is chicken. So in this food is boneless chicken meal, which is just chicken that's been cooked down so that they can get the protein level high enough for the food. Salmon, turkey, herring. Then there's peas and potatoes. No grain. And it's a higher protein than most foods you'll see out there. But that's what's appropriate for a dog. So
absolutely,
that's what we're looking for from a nutrition standpoint. We've been feeding raw food to dogs for over 10 years. So this is an example of what a raw food looks like.
Oh, wow.
This food happens to be made in Oregon. It's made in a factory that makes people food. So it makes people food for grocery stores, but they also make raw dog food.
Okay.
So this is raw meat and bones and organ meat ground up with veggies.
Oh, wow.
And it's complete. So you don't cook it, you don't heat it, you thaw it out and you feed it to them, and they'll be the healthiest dog around. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then that meat, the raw meat that you're talking about, it's a bit specially formulated for animals, right? It's not something I could just get at the
it's not something you want to just give them raw meat off the grocery store.
Okay.
It's specifically formulated for dogs because they need to have a balance of calcium and phosphorus in their diet, so hence there's ground bone in the raw meat.
Oh.
If you just fed them hamburger, they would get sick.
Yeah, okay.
It wouldn't be a balanced diet for them.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
So.
Well, now that we got this pooch a little fed and could get him some food, is there a way we could give him a sustainable setup with some of the pet accessories that he may need?
Let me show you some things. The
she
beds that
likes
we
it.
get are from the U.S. and Canada. They're not from overseas. We really want the dog to be on something which is safe and stuffed with something that's not going to cause allergies.
Okay.
This particular bed is called an orbit bed. We really like this. It's an eco bed because they use the polar fleece is made from 100% recycled materials. It's, made from, it's actually made from plastic soda bottles.
Really?
As is the stuffing inside the bed.
Huh.
So,
that's so soft. You would never have guessed that.
You would never guess that, yeah. So, and even this company is very focused on doing it right. I mean, this says each bed diverts 30 plastic bottles from the landfill. So.
Wow.
And they put that on each one depending on the size, how much.
All right, now that we got Molly set up with her meals, I was wondering if we could help her out with some of the treats that she's going to be wanting in between.
The treats, like the food, is we look at the ingredients. So,
okay.
You know, is it a really, a simple treat is better over something that has a lot of ingredients. So if you look at something like this, it's called turkey bites.
Okay.
The ingredients are turkey meat. So you can't get anything more simple than that, and that's a good treat. And these are little treats, so you also want a treat that's like size appropriate for her. If you give a little dog a giant biscuit, you've just given them like a cheeseburger and fries.
Okay.
Because it's too much food for them. They don't eat that much food to begin with, so you know.
Yeah, so your treats can't replace a meal.
No, the treats, the simpler the better as far as ingredients, and also size appropriate is really important and not over treating. Our philosophy about toys is similar to the rest of the store. Where's it made? How's it made? What are the manufacturing processes? This is a Westpaw toy. We showed you the Westpaw bed. This is 100% recycled material. And it's also certified safe. And what does that mean? It means they've tested this for over 100 potentially hazardous substances. And it's 100% safe. You could hand this to an infant and they could chew on it and be safe. And again, size appropriate is good. So, you know, maybe something a little small or something like that. So,
there you go.
and then the other important toy is something to give them some activity. So, you know, we really like toys like the Kong, which has been around a long time. It's another made in the U.S. toy where you put some treats down inside. And then Molly has to sort of move it around to get the treats to come out. So, just keep their mind engaged and keep them active and keep them moving. So Ronnie, you ready to go here?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of stuff for Molly, so she's all set up, and I got a couple things I want to get for Rancho Coastal, but I really like all the stuff that you've had, and thank you so much for your time with everything on like just telling me all this stuff. Howlistic was a lot of fun for Molly and me to explore. After all the excitement, we even stopped by South Park Dog Wash to make sure Molly was clean using natural dog cleaning supplies. So now I wanted to know, why buy when you can adopt one of the 70,000 puppies and kittens born every day in the United States? I went to the County of San Diego Animal Shelter to learn more. We're here at the San Diego County Animal Shelter with Lieutenant Kalani Hudson. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Yeah, so first of all, why is adoption important for the community in San Diego?
In our community, we have a lot of unwanted pets that end up in the shelters in the County of San Diego. So we need to go ahead and find homes for them, and anyone that comes in and adopts a pet is providing a forever home for those pets that don't have one. Anybody that's looking to go ahead and get a pet should go ahead and consider their lifestyle first and foremost.
Okay.
And what sort of animal would fit that lifestyle? Do they lead an active life? Are they more sedate and like to come home and sit and relax on the couch?
Okay.
So those are things that they want to go ahead and match up with the type of pet that they're getting. So those are some of the things that might want to consider before committing to a pet.
So what are the steps in adopting a dog?
Here at the County of San Diego Animal Shelter in San Diego, the public would go ahead and come into our facility, and out here in our courtyard, they'd go ahead and come and take a look at our pets. So we have dogs and cats available here, and sometimes we'd have other animals such as rabbits or reptiles or birds that they could take a look at.
Oh, okay.
Once they found a few animals that they would be interested in, they can go up to our greeter's desk and get more information that we might have as far as medical or behavioral history that we've documented. At that point, they go ahead and fill out an adoption contract questionnaire, and then they would go ahead and be able to come out on an interact and meet with one of our kennel assistants that would go ahead then and do an interaction, kind of adoption counseling process. Make sure that that's that perfect match. And if it is, then they'd go ahead and sign in for the actual adoption process, which our clerical staff would then go ahead and process.
Wow, that's really cool. It seems like every step of the way you're really trying to find people that really fit with those people. You're not just like, oh, we got to get rid of these dogs. Let's try and push these dogs on us.
No.
It's really like, what is your lifestyle? How is this dog? How is it interacting with you? And you have all of these different setups to make sure that the dog ends up being really happy and the person. As you're talking about it with the adoption process, with the counselors and everything, is that part of the dog licensing, or what is dog licensing?
Dog licensing is something that's mandated by the state.
Oh.
It's basically to go ahead and control rabies. We are in a declared rabies zone. It's carried in the bat population. So if you can imagine, a bat can get just about anywhere. So even if you don't take your dog outdoors, there could potentially be some sort of exposure there. That's why it's really important to go ahead and get your animals vaccinated with a rabies vaccine.
Okay.
We go ahead and provide a one-stop clinic on Thursdays at our 3 county animal shelters where people can come in if they reside in the jurisdiction that we cover and get a rabies vaccination. dog licensing. We also waive the late fees, and they can also get their animals microchipped as well too.
Okay.
So.
Wow, you said there's late fees. What are the costs, and what are these kind of costs going towards?
The dog licensing fees vary depending on the length of time that you get the dog license, because it's only good as long as the rabies vaccine is good, so you can get it in increments of 1, 2, or 3 years. And the price also varies whether the animal has been spayed or neutered, so whether it's altered or unaltered as well too.
Okay.
So it could be as, cheap as $14 or, as expensive as $72, depending on what the pattern is.
How is a domestic animal affecting the environment?
They can affect them in a variety of different ways, and that's why a lot of the regulatory laws that we enforce, the county codes or the city municipal codes, have come into effect. We have a restraint of dogs required law in the county of San Diego, which means that a person must go ahead and keep their dog on a leash of 6 feet or less anytime that it is off of their property and not confined within a fence or under some other means of control. That's so that way you can go ahead and have control of your animal and it's not roaming loose and causing different problems.
Okay.
Those different problems affect not only the other public members, but the animal as well too. You want to make sure that your dog isn't getting into trash or some other poison or something that could harm your dog.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that the dog isn't a threat to the public, maybe wandering into the street, causing an accident, or if it's defecating on a lawn. That all goes into our storm system and into the watershed. So there could be implications as far as the environment in a variety of different ways. We all need to go ahead and protect our environment and our oceans, especially here in San Diego County, and that's definitely one way that we could go ahead and do that.
I'd like to thank you for providing some good friends for people in San Diego to make it a little more sustainable in that way and give these guys a good home. So thank you so much.
No problem.
We'll be back in a minute to get a green yourself tip if you can help us out with that.
Not a problem.
Great. I'm back with Lieutenant Kalani Hudson, and we're talking about going green after, I guess, your dog's done doing his thing. So I was wondering, you were explaining about how the watersheds and it's affected when people aren't picking up after their dog's waste. And I was wondering if you could give us a little more tips on that and why it's important.
Well, you definitely want to go ahead and pick up after your pet. Not only does it go ahead and help the environment, but there is also laws in place that require you to do so.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, everyone's seen those cute little, belt clip, little scoop bags that, come in the little container. They're very convenient. You can stick it in a purse, stick it in your pocket. Yeah. Definitely go ahead and have something to, with you all the time to go ahead and pick it up. On the other hand, let's go ahead and recycle. Those little bags, that you get, the plastic bags at the grocery store, everyone has them. You're always trying to find a use for them and recycle them. You can grab a couple of those, stick them in your pocket, reuse those as well too.
Wow, okay, so yeah, there's definitely different ways about that, and it's to really affect our watershed and public health in that way.
Exactly. There are zoonotic diseases, which are diseases that can be transmitted from humans or from animals to humans. And there's also diseases that can be transmitted from animals to other animals. So, there's parvo, which is transmitted in feces. So you have to be very careful with puppies going out until they've been vaccinated, where they could go ahead and be exposed to something. So just being cautious of your animal surroundings and what you go ahead and your footprint and what you leave behind with your animals.
Okay, so now that you're picking up after your pooch, now is it cool to have your house cat outside because they have a litter box, or is that somebody you have to follow?
There's a problem with cats. There's no law regulating that cats have to be inside.
Oh.
However, you can go ahead and see that there's studies done that millions of songbirds and other wildlife are killed every year by domestic house cats. These are cats that don't need to go ahead and hunt and kill these animals for actual food because they're getting, Friskies inside or some other brand of cat food.
Okay.
So this is just a needless waste of impacting our environment and killing songbirds, lizards, and other critters. Not to mention that, if they're going to the bathroom outside, nobody's watching them or picking that up, and they have, impact as well too.
Okay, so yeah, it's definitely something to keep your house cat in your house and keep your dog clean up after your dogs.
Very much so. We do see in the shelters too that the percentage of animals that actually come in to claim their cats are significantly lower than the people that come in to claim their dogs. A lot more people will go ahead and microchip, their dogs because they're licensing their dogs. There's no requirement to license their cats, and very few people would actually go ahead and microchip their cats. So if we go ahead and get that awareness out there that we shouldn't be letting the cats outdoors and we should go ahead and be microchipping them and identifying them, then we'll go ahead and have a better community.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. You're impacting your ecosystem by just throwing a cat in there, like a well-fed animal that's just going to go out and be able to. You're
introducing a brand new predator into the environmental niche that it doesn't need to be there.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thanks again for your time and all the great things that the San Diego County Animal Shelter is doing.
No problem, my pleasure.